My name is Michael Liffmann. I go by Mike Liffmann, born and raised in Colombia and came to the United States in 1965 to study. Moved to Baton Rouge in 1969 to go to graduate school. A few years later, lo and behold, someone said that my beloved sport was getting organized in this town. And I said, hey, count me in. There simply was no Baton Rouge soccer scene, certainly nothing in an organized fashion, right? Anecdotally, you know, we played, the Latinos at the LSU would get together and we'd play in fields, open fields. At the time, there were many open fields around the campus. We'd get together on weekends and skins versus shirts, only men. Women didn't play in those days. And we were all way too young to have any children. Went back and forth and knocked it around and occasionally imbibed and shared illegally, I might add, in some adult beverages after the matches, but it was great fun. It was a great way to relieve the tensions of the week and of our studies. This was going on at Southern as well. Notably, Nigerians were doing the same kind of thing. We didn't connect with them until after the Baton Rouge Soccer League got organized and began involving them. But they were having a great time, similar fashion. We shared our love for the sport. The things got started, it was a newspaper ad. Gaucho's, which was Baton Rouge's largest department store at the time, was owned and operated by the Sternberg family, very prominent local philanthropists today. But they were Jewish, German Jews who had come to the States in the mid-1930s. Two of their employees, Ralph Meyer was a German Jew, and Jan Wienen was an Austrian Jew. And they decided they wanted to, they could try to organize a soccer association. They called it Baton Rouge Soccer League, and they placed an ad in the newspaper. They said, anyone interested in coming and organizing a soccer association, come join us. And there was a meeting called for the Gaucho's location then on Main Street downtown. To the best of my recollection, there were about 13 of us at the time, but we ended up forming 8 teams. We practiced in the neighborhoods, you know, why don't you find a park where you can play, you know, just play small sides, you know, you can put a couple of cones down or whatever. We began working with the schools, and we'd actually go to the principals and ask if we could practice there. Every school was delighted to know that their fields were being used after hours. So we began working with the schools. Neighborhoods were the most notable way of organizing initially. We had age groups beginning from 8 to 13. So, you know, I was fortunate enough to coach the Westminster Cajuns. They were the first champions. The reason they were the champions is because I had a 13-year-old that had played in Germany. And so we were the first champions. We had 2 seasons that registered players for the spring and the fall. Very concerned about competition with football, competition with baseball. Those were the 2 big movers and shakers. Little did we know that the exponential growth that took place shortly after all of that. Hey, but we had to rely strictly on telephone kind of calls, and we'd have ad hoc meetings. We'd all get together. We all played at Highland Road Park, which first year or so. Jan Wienen, the fellow that I alluded to, the Austrian, he had a microbus, and he had goals that he had a little rig underneath his microbus where he would slip in the goals, and we would erect them over the weekend, and the games would be played on these 2 fields. Who would officiate? We had some of our seniors officiate. Seniors being they were already in their 50s and 60s in 1975. They would sit there and don their very ugly black outfits, stand in the middle of the pitch, and call off sides all the way 50 yards down the way. And then they would just shrug, whatever. No linesmen, which is what we called our assistant referees at the time. Parents and other kids were recruited and given a flag to help with the out of bounds, only out of bounds. None of the directional kind of things that we have, which way we go, where the referee would make those decisions. No, they didn't have a lot of experience, and they certainly didn't have a lot of competitive experience. But, you know, athletes are athletes, and, you know, after a while, you sort of teach them what to do with the ball. You dribble, you shoot, you pass, you do things like that. They took like ducks to water. The only advertisements we had were the ones in the paper, right? In the Morning Advocate and State Times, the afternoon version of the paper. So if people didn't see that, they were out of luck, or through word of mouth, or if we were fortunate enough, our first president was Dave Ward, who was a sportscaster at the time on Channel 9. So Dave, I think in his youth, I think he might have been from New York State, upstate New York. And he was the one who would, whenever he had a chance, he would plug something, and he would, do the Super 8 video kind of thing, and he would feed it into the machine. So that's how we got publicity early on. No idea. It was not even in my wildest imagination back in 1975 that we'd be having this conversation today. Well, first of all, there was no vision, there was no plan, right? This was just, we're going to do what we like to do. No idea here, that we would be founding something that this community has really, really come to appreciate, obviously. And I might add, too, that public officials have come to support it as well. That was not the case early on. It was Mayor Woody Dumas who prevailed on Brick to get this for us. I never would have dreamed that it would be what it is today. And I think my fondest wish is that 50 years from now, when those 8-year-olds today, right, 50 years from now, they'll be in your shoes, that they come back and celebrate 100 years of Baton Rouge Soccer.